Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I call today's press conference because I believe our community deserves timely, accurate information whenever one of our officers uses deadly force. These incidents are among the most serious responsibilities any police department faces. They affect everyone involved, the individual who was shot, their loved ones, the officers involved, and the community we all serve. Today, my goal is to explain what we know, what we do not yet know, and the investigative process that is now underway. As always, I will be as transparent as I can while protecting the integrity of the independent investigation. This morning at approximately 5:52 a.m., a Topeka police officer responded to investigate a disabled vehicle in the 500 block of South Kansas Avenue. At approximately 6:25 a.m., as part of a routine shift change, the overnight officer was relieved by a day shift officer who remained on scene while waiting for the disabled vehicle to be removed from the roadway. At approximately 7:05 a.m., while monitoring the disabled vehicle, the officer observed a separate vehicle being driven erratically before striking a curb nearby. An adult female exited the vehicle armed with a knife. According to the preliminary investigation, the woman moved toward an uninvolved bystander standing on the sidewalk while holding the knife. In an effort to gain voluntary compliance and de-escalate the encounter, the officer gave commands for her to drop the knife. She briefly complied and placed the knife on the ground, but then picked it back up and continued moving toward the bystander who was standing near the front of Townside Tower. The woman then entered the lobby of Townside Tower, located in the 500 block of South Kansas Avenue, while still armed with the knife. According to the preliminary investigation, she threatened another uninvolved individual inside the lobby. Building security video captures the individual saying, "Don't kill me," while attempting to avoid the woman as she raised the knife and swung it at him. As the woman threatened the individual inside the lobby while armed with the knife, the officer discharged one round from his duty weapon in defense of that individual, striking the woman and stopping the threat. Additional officers arrived and assisted the primary officer in rendering first aid until emergency medical personnel arrived. Despite those life-saving efforts, the woman was pronounced deceased at the scene. No Topeka police officers were injured during this incident. As is our stated practice in every officer-involved shooting, the TPD immediately requested the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, the KBI, to conduct an independent criminal investigation. The officer has been placed on administrative leave in accordance with department policy. The KBI is the lead investigative agency in this case. Because this remains an active and independent investigation, future information regarding the criminal investigation will be released by the KBI. Before I conclude, I want to speak directly to our community. Based on the information available at this time, this incident involved a single individual whose actions resulted in a rapidly evolving confrontation with a responding police officer. At this time, there is no information indicating any ongoing threat to the public or that this incident is connected to any other broader public safety concern. I also want to recognize the professionalism of the officers who responded to this incident. They were confronted with a rapidly evolving and dangerous situation, secured the scene, rendered first aid as soon as practicable, and worked together to protect members of the community while ensuring emergency medical personnel could safely provide care. I want to thank the citizens and businesses in the downtown Topeka for their cooperation and patience as officers secured the scene and conducted their investigation. Finally, I want to acknowledge the uninvolved individuals who unexpectedly found themselves in the middle of this incident. We recognize that experiences like this can be traumatic, and our thoughts are with everyone who was affected. I understand that incidents like this raise important questions within our community. We share the public's expectation for accountability, transparency, and a thorough investigation. As additional information becomes available and can be released without compromising the integrity of the investigation, we'll continue to keep our community informed. I also want to reaffirm the commitments I have made to our community regarding transparency in officer-involved shootings. As Chief of Police, I have committed to personally offering the family of the deceased an opportunity to view the available body-worn camera video with me within 72 hours whenever circumstances allow. I believe families deserve to receive information directly from me before seeing it elsewhere. That commitment reflects our values of transparency, professionalism, and respect for everyone affected by these incidents. I've also committed that the Topeka Police Department will publicly release body-worn camera from officer-involved shootings within 30 days after both the criminal and the department's administrative investigation have been completed, unless prohibited by law or court order. That commitment remains unchanged today. Transparency and accountability are not simply principles we talk about. They are commitments we demonstrate through our actions. We will continue to honor those commitments in this case, just as we have in every officer-involved shooting since these practices and policies were established. Our responsibility today is to be transparent about what occurred. Our responsibility in the days ahead is to allow the independent investigation to follow the facts wherever they lead. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
The lady with the knife didn't know these two people that she threatened, as far as you know?
That's more investigation than that. The way we describe it, she got out of it, crashed her car, got out, started walking on the sidewalk, and walked inside a building with a knife and threatened an individual. The investigation will be able to put more together, but this seems like to be an isolated incident.
Was this a mental issue going on with her, or did she have a purpose on what she was doing? I mean, from what she was saying, I know you can't go through.
Right. I think those facts will play out. It's a little bit too soon to put together the motive. I want to make sure that the facts get laid out before I make any assumptions on my behalf.
And just to confirm, both those crashes that happened earlier are totally separate?
The first one was just a vehicle in the roadway, typical motor assist. The crash afterward was isolated and just happened to occur at the same block.
How thankful can everybody involved be that the officer was there finishing up on this previous thing? Because the chances of an officer being right there, I mean, what could have happened inside, I guess?
That's just an example of what our officers promise to be and take part of, and understand that they may encounter, that things can evolve at any moment. We teach them to be diligent, be safe, don't be paranoid, but understand that you're out there serving the community, and always be prepared for the unexpected. So the officer understood that.
And you said in 30 days the body cam footage will be released? 30
days after the completion of the criminal, when KBI does it, everything's done with the criminal side. Our administrative investigation, according to there's some contract language I have to follow, and then after the 30 days after I notify the police officer that this is my intent, then we'll meet again.
And so it sounds like, this was a rapid incident. So how, can you give an estimate of how long, or how this all ensued or so? Because you mentioned she was able to pick up the weapon. So was that weapon in close proximity from her to, you mentioned she dropped and then picked it up again?
That was almost, it didn't take very long for her to pick it back up. It's dropping it and then picking it back up. I don't have an exact time frame, but it was all occurred fairly quickly. These situations can be really quick and rapidly evolving. The officer at that point was attempting de-escalation following his ICAT training as we've trained him. So that was a point where we were trying to de-escalate that situation. Unfortunately, it's unsuccessful. So.
For sure. And so I guess what does that tell you about the security measures that we have, downtown, for her to walk into a public, building where, lots of people could have been at? That could have been, things could have escalated further if there wasn't, officer that was already there at the scene. So what does that tell you about the security measures that we, have in place?
I don't know the security measures necessarily that downtown has, but I know this was an isolated incident. It just happened to occur there. Those things occur in law enforcement, but we were ready for that. There was an officer there, like someone just noted, and I'm thankful that the officer was there.
Chief, how close was the Sika incident? How, you say the lady was raising a knife to this individual inside. How close were they, where the officer obviously had to take action right then?
How close were the officers and the subject, or
The person with the knife and the other person that was,
close enough to be of concern to, if they,
distance, what would you say, sir?
it was somewhere within, I'd say within reachable range with the knife. If I could, that's, a lot of it's preliminary, so that's,
What can you tell us about the knife?
well, it was a large knife. Some might describe it as a butcher knife, or more of an anecdotal type of description. I don't know what a technical term for a butcher knife, but it's a larger knife. It's not a, wasn't a small pocket knife, it was a larger knife.
Has the suspect been identified?
I believe so, but we're not releasing that information at that point until proper notifications have been made.
What age did you say she was?
I believe she was 41 years of age, if I was told correctly.
We can take one more question.
And I guess since this investigation is still, ongoing, but do you stand by the officer's decision to how you responded?
But I don't want to make any assumptions up front, but I always, as I've come up here in the past, I stand for the truth. If the information leads that it was reasonable, just cause, I'll stand up here and I'll say that every day. But I want to avoid the presumption of bias up front. But the truth will come out, and the truth will come from me.
Okay. Thank you all. That will conclude it.